Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty, rich and rare. In history's page, let every state advance Australia fair. In joyful strains, then let us sing, advance Australia fair.
20-year-old Christine Wallace from Wagga Wagga, studying broadcast journalism at Charles Sturt University in her second year, but a lead singer in a band and wants to pursue classical singing as well. So far, so good for Christine, and likewise for the Holden Lion and the Blue Oval at Mount Panorama. Very, very nervous times. The hearts are pounding, the engines are revving. Quite a build-up here as the colour will gradually fade away with the uniforms from the grid into pit lane. Teams will be starting to think about their race strategy. They have a plan, but of course that always is open to change. In fact, if you ask the top running teams like the Holden Racing team, there is plan A, B, C, D and even E sometimes. It's a long day, 161 laps. All the drivers say it is difficult enough to put together one good lap around this 6.2 kilometre circuit, let alone 161 of them. We're counting down now to the order to start their engines. Local Mayor Ian McIntosh will tell them.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
Even the weather is staying fine for us here at Mount Panorama. For how long, we don't know. There's lots of cloud around, but it is almost time. Lee Diffie, Mark Osler, Barry Sheen are your commentators. Greg Rust and Grant Denyer will have a very, very busy day in the pits, as we always do for the V8 Supercar 1000. Critical stage in the championship, 540 points on offer. 4 major contenders, others potentially so, if you look at the figures, and there are 2 rounds left to go. But who will do it? The front row, Seaton, Ambrose, not championship contenders, but just behind them 2 bitter rivals, Russell Ingall and Mark Scaife. Russell Ingall chasing his first championship win, but he has won at Bathurst. Will he capitalise on that experience and take vital points here today? He and Larry Perkins regarded as the masters of endurance racing, but the rest of the field has caught up in recent times. That experience has been leaked to the other teams. Lee Diffie, the nerves are starting to really fray.
They are, Bill. There's a championship on the line. There's Australia's greatest motor race on the line right here today at Mount Panorama. And look at that, what a wonderful grid. It is overflowing with talent. And Australia has bred and continues to breed some just marvellous racing talent. Young Luke Ewell down a macro there, centre of screen in the second, Castrol Commodore. The view from behind, the youngest combination on the grid, right there in the Valvoline Cummins Commodore, 19-year-old Paul Dumbrell and 21-year-old Leanne Ferry. Now there's the Team Kiwi entry. They are in pit lane, and we are about to begin the sighting lap.
Well, word from the pits was that they were actually going to start from the pit exit lane. They haven't made the grid, but have a look at that. Doesn't look too good. It's up on the air jacks, and doesn't look like it's going anywhere at the moment. We'll keep an eye on that. Hopefully Team Kiwi can make a start.
6.2 kilometres of lead up. The next time we see them leave that grid, it will be for real. Their final opportunity to take a look at the track, our last opportunity to take a look at the grid, and it is the rookie and the new combination of Ambrose and Wakefield will start from the #1 position. Seaton and Richards alongside. The second row, Ingall and Perkins, Bright and Mazira, a very strong combination there. Scaife and Longhurst, Johnson and Radicic, one of the favourites. Bow and Wills, and Ellery and the very experienced Jeff Brabham.
The highest quality, most competitive field we've ever seen on Mount Panorama. Tander and Bargwana, the reigning champions, start out at 9. Jim Richards and Dean Canto
really
Combination of youth and experience out of 10. Kelly and Murphy, watch them. Lowndes and Crompton could be a surprise. Ritter and McLean in the second shell forward. Morrison, Stitchbury, Wheel and Lay, Bernard and White out of 16.
It's quite a full grid, 39 cars in total. Faulkner with a new partner, Dorman. Larkham and Gardner, they've had some bad luck, but keep your eyes out for that machine. Pretty and Kelly in the second Kmart car, and then Team Kiwi. They've got some work to do. They won't start from that 20th position. McConville and Bates, Jones and Cleland, a strong run at the Queensland 500. What can they come up with here? McDougall and Mediki, Macro and Yulden in the second Castrol car.
Tratt and Alan Jones start out at 25. Ferrier and Dumbrell in the second. Valvoline, Cummins, Commodore, Noski and Baird in the Bud Racing debut at Mount Panorama. Nash and Ricky Odello in the Rod Nash Commodore. Romano and Kelly team up in the Holden Young Lions entry. Forbes and Parsons in the second Gibson Motorsport Ford. Reed and Ashby, the veterans, out of 31. Halliday and Crick in the 3M Ford. Hopefully they'll make their start out of 32.
Bit of a hiccup this morning in the warm-up for those guys. Terry Waihoon, Rod Salmon, Sky Fleet and DeGostin, Harris, Simpson, Heath and Breed, some rookies back there. Young Jamie Brock and Steve Owen, Holt and Mundy and Crampton and Donaher. Now that makes up our 39 car field. Now starting right from the back of that is Team Kiwi. Greg Russ, what's the latest?
Well, Lee, the crowd here on pit straight just erupted moments ago. They got this car ready, filled it with fuel, just did a quick systems check. Jason Richards will start from pit lane, but what a great testimony. Never, ever give up. That's a simple and shining example these guys have just shown.
It is indeed, and we wish them the best of luck. Boy, they've had to endure a tough last 12, 14 hours.
I was in the garage about half an hour ago. If you'd have seen the state of it, you would have sworn blind there was no chance they'd ever get it done.
Oh, absolutely amazing. Never say die attitude. Let's run through the massive amount of cameras that we're going to cover all the action for you this weekend on Network 10. Vodafone, in-car camera with Garth Tander, the reigning champion with Jason Bargwana. Can they make it 2 from 2 and recover from what has been a terrible season? Ford in-car camera with Craig Lowndes aboard the brand new Gibson Motorsport Ford. And you can even see we've got the pedal action covered as well. So you're going to see plenty of action from aboard that car.
The VB in-car camera with Mark Scaife, and we're proud to boast here on your Network 10, your home of motorsport, in excess of 40 in-car and on-car cameras for this year's telecast of the V8 Supercar 1000. Russell Ingall will join the Enforcer and Larry Perkins, courtesy of Munro. And we'll see what they get up to throughout this 1,000-kilometre classic. The shot from the rear as well, that'll keep us updated.
Stephen Ellery could spring a surprise here. Man's been fast throughout qualifying. He is a very fast driver. This car well prepared by a small but enthusiastic team. And of course all the experience of Aussie international Jeff Brabham. They could be a real shock here.
With thanks to Repco, we'll ride with Glenn Seaton and Stephen Richards today. Looking at Glenn and Stephen at work also through the front of the Ford Tickford Racing AUXR8. This is a brand new vehicle and it's not the only one here on the mountain. John Bow and Simon Wills. It's a very intriguing combination. We saw how strong they were as well. And Energizer brings us the view from inside the Caterpillar Ford.
Incredible quality of combinations here. Marcus Ambrose, great to see the Pertec Ford taking its position on the front row of the grid. There was a problem with that car. A bit of a hiccup after the warm-up.
Yeah, the problem was that the air intake, the temperature in the airbox was so low that it was mucking up the fuel supply, and basically the carburation was up the pictures, for want of a better explanation. But they've got it sorted now, which is kind of good.
Oh, that's good news for Marcus Ambrose and Wayne Wakefield, who has been given a tremendous opportunity by the Stone Brothers operation. Let's check out the Ford race analysis on Mount Panorama Bathurst. 39 starters in all, 161 laps or 1,000 kilometres the total distance. The pit windows, there's 3 compulsory fuel stops that must be made between laps 2 and 120. And of course the brake pad change, the compulsory brake pad change between 48 and 120. And of course the reigning champs, the Tander and Bargwana and the Valvoline Cummins Commodore.
As if starting this race isn't daunting enough, Brad Jones is complaining of a knock in one of the wheels. He doesn't know what it is, possibly a caliper rubbing on the rim. So they may have to come in soon to suss out what that is.
We're waiting for the last few cars to grid up. That's Glenn Seaton. Certainly not the first time he started from the front row, and it more than likely will not be the last. But alongside him, what a fabulous story. 25-year-old Marcus Ambrose, first time on the mountain. and took pole yesterday in the top 15 shootout.
I always get so nervous in the first corner at the start. You think, well, it's 161 laps done this route at the first corner. It's really tight when you actually go around the circuit. You can't believe how tight it is, and for so many cars, 39 cars, to get through there unscathed is quite a miracle.
Well, I'm just really happy that the grid is this size, 40 cars. We've had a problem before with a lot of cars, a lot of problems early in the race with safety car periods. We've got a super high quality field here.
It only happens once a year. That's why it is Australia's greatest motor race. We are seconds away from the start of the V8 Supercar 1000. We have a green flag from the back.
Long time.
As the seconds tick by, we are building up to the start for the 2001 Classic. Now listen to the revs rise. Let's go to work. The 2001 V8 Supercar 1000 is away and bogging it down. Russell Ingall in the middle of the grid. He's gone right back. Fortunately, everyone has avoided him. Now he gets going. Boy, that was breathtaking.
Absolutely breathtaking stuff. He got squeezed up on the curb on the inside of the Gibson Ford. One of his got through cleanly. Boy, he was vulnerable sitting there. He could have been hit very hard in the back, but he managed to get away with it. Dougal McDougall in trouble in the Pepsi Commodore. He hasn't even got off the line.
Coming up the inside, Paul Radisich in the 17 Shell Helix Ford slots in. Then it's Mark Scaife. The second HRT Commodore is up there as well. They sort themselves out. Ritter has dropped a long way back from the grid. He didn't get away to the best of starts either, but Radisich bright. Then it's Scaife. Marcus Ambrose, the pole sitter, followed by John Bowe.
Brilliant start by Glenn Seaton. He leads the thundering pack up the mountain for the first time with the brand new FTR Falcon. The Ford flags are waving there, as you can see, as they come out of the cutting up toward Reed Park the first time.
Across the top, Wheel has got away to a very good start. Starting in 15th, he's made his way forward. Ritter has dropped back, but look at this.
Seaton is on it. Look at that. Wow, it's a massive amount of ground to put out in the first half a lap.
Magnificent sight across the top of the mountain as this capacity crowd cheer on the heroes, thundering down the hill for the first time. There's the Gibson Motorsport Falcon, but here's the car that has really been setting the pace all week. Glenn Seaton, he's got the hammer down in the FTR Ford as they head down toward Forest Elbow for the first time.
Stephen Ellery has got away to a good start in the Super Cheap Autos car. Look at this, HRT on the inside. Scaife was trying to put a move on Jason Bright early on, out of the Aussie male elbow, but Bright held that position into Conrod for the first time of 161.
295 kilometres an hour, flat out in sixth gear. The V8 Supercars thunder down Conrod Straight. They come under our camera as they race down toward the chase for the first time.
Look at Wheel. How about that? 10 out of 10 to Wheel. He made a great start.
Well, from 15th, he's made his way up to about 7th or 8th. It's a very, very strong start. Tanders battling hard on the opening lap. John Bowe, quite a nifty start as well. They head down.
Listen to the crowd roar. They're absolutely packed in so deep here on pit straight. Watch their heroes come past on this first exciting lap. Marcus Ambrose didn't make the best start, but he's in there in that leading 5.
The 17 Ford was pretty impressive too, from 7th on the grid, from 6th on the grid up into 2nd, and Radisich made very quick work of that. There is Russell Ingall forcing his way on the inside of Craig Lowndes on the opening lap. What went wrong with the start for Russell Ingall?
13th place is in now. Ingall, wow, I don't know. That's, he was lucky to get it off the line.
Wasn't he? Just look at this. This is like the Holden Racing Team car. Jason Bright just ducking out of the draft. Might have had an attack up the inside and breaks into XR8 Ben. Not that time around. It's Glenn Seaton, Paul Radisich, Jason Bright, Mark Scaife, Marcus Ambrose, John Bowe in 6th, Stephen Ellery in 7th, Tander in 8th, Jim Richards in the 2nd FTR Fords in the top 10, Paul Wheel as well.
We ride with the Pertec Ford, Marcus Ambrose, the pole sitter, the rookie at the mountain. And he sits in behind the 2 HRT Commodores. Jason Bright is the first one on the road, followed by Mark Scaife. They're both chasing the rat as they cross the top for the second time.
Well, obviously the Stone brothers did sort their car out, didn't they? Which was nice for us.
Let's take a look, another look rather, at the start. And this is the view from inside Craig Lowndes' car.
Look how lucky Ingall was not to get planted up the rear.
And Lowndes had trouble getting off the line.
Yeah.
He had major problems there. The engine bogging down. He took 2 or 3 stabs at it. Mark Scaife down the inside of his teammate Jason Bright. So Scaife's really on a charge in these opening laps. checking each other out, just seeing who's got the speed.
Seaton's quickest 2:15 so far.
These cars are running on full tanks of fuel, 120 litres of fuel sloshing around in the boot of these things. It's early days here. Drivers just getting the car set up. They'll be adjusting brake balance. They'll be adjusting anti-roll bars. They're making adjustments to the car, talking to their crew, getting the car settled into a groove in these opening laps.
Yeah, the thing, it's something that you don't really think of at the beginning of the race. They can run more brake on the rear because they got more weight in the back of them with the fuel, and then as the weight goes down, they've got to adjust the race towards
mate, nice and easy.
Oh, that was Jeff Greck, I think, was it?
McDougall and Mediki, the problem there was a broken tail shaft. Tough weekend. They also had a crash earlier on in practice, so they will try and fix this one and get back out.
Yeah, Rob Starr, Robbie Starr, Mark Scape's chief mechanic, just talking to him there. Keep an eye on the race pace, Mark. Got a long, long way to go here. Reigning Shell Series champion, trying to address the situation. HRT have not been that successful here in the V8 Supercar era. Only one victory, that was back in 1996 with Lowndes and Murphy. Here comes Gary Holt into the pits early.
So we've seen a bit of a nightmare start for several competitors. Team Kiwi, McDougall and Mediki, and now Gary Holt and Kevin Mundy as well as they crawl up pit lane. But look at this. More importantly, Mark Scape is really starting to apply the pressure to the rat. Paul Radicic on only the third lap of 161. Seaton enjoys a 1.5 second lead at the moment, but that means little over the course of 6.5, 7 hours. But it's nice to have some clear air up front. Watch Scape. He won't want to sit in third for too much longer. He made a very good move. He lined Jason Wright up on the opening lap, heading into Forest Elbow, and then successfully executed on the second.
Just had a word to the guys down at Team Castrol, and Russell apparently didn't really want to comment on what happened at the start. One can only assume that means he did bog it down, but the guys say he's going hard now. Just gotten past Craig Lowndes and he's on the attack.
We've got a hell of a battle going on here for second place between Ford and Holden. Mark Scape ducks into the draft behind the Shell Ford. We go to our chopper shot high above Conrod Straight at 290 k's. Mark Scape looking way around the rat. They get hard under brakes into the chase. He looks up the inside, goes very deep. Radicic gives him room, and Scape up to second.
Very, very fast-paced. Scape has made an incredibly dynamic start to this 1,000-kilometre enduro. Now the next one on his checklist is that car there. Glenn Seaton in the Ford Tickford Racing AU XR8. Look at Scape, so determined so early on. And these guys, as they come across the line, they flash across your updated race score at the bottom of your screen. Scape, Radicic, Bright, look at them, they're all lining up. Ellery's in there as well, Ambrose, Tander, Richards, Murphy and Wheel in 11.
Leaders lapping in the low 2-minute 14, high 2:13 bracket. Fastest lap of the race so far, Russell Ingall finding his way back from that terrible start. He's done a 2:13.2. Can he keep it up? Look at this, Radicic attacking on the inside. He doesn't quite have enough speed. So Jason Bright's ducked past as well.
That's the Ashby Reed. No, it's the McConville Bates car coming in very, very early. Some problems for Cam McConville.
Russell Ingall's got the hammer down. He's pushing hard. 2:13.27, fastest lap of the race so far for the Castrol Commodore.
Just had a word to team boss Wally Story down here at the Lansvale Smash team. He says Cameron's brought the car in. The engine has gone flat. It's lost power for some reason. They do not know why.
Rolls one Shell car runs incredibly strong up in fourth position right there. Paul Radicic, the second Shell Helix car, car 18. Greg Ritter lost something like 5 or 6 positions off the line. He's back in around about 18th position as we speak. In fact, he's dropped one more. He's 19th after starting in 13th. So a tardy start for Ritter, but a long way to go.
I'll let Russell the fastest lap. The great thing about this race is, you know, you can remember when Larry and Ingall won it. Larry was touring around with a puncture, wasn't he, at the back of the field? I mean, you just never, ever know what's going to happen.
But Russell was so lucky to get away with that.
Yeah, not getting planted, you're right.
So easily been hit in the back. Would have taken 2 cars out, particularly Russell Ingall and Larry Perkins, one of the race favourites. We're in car with Paul Radicic. Someone reporting to their team that they've got a tyre rubbing on a guard. I'm not sure who sent that message.
We get word that it's come from Mark Scape through to his HRT crew. And Perhaps one explanation for Ritter's demise off the line was maybe he got caught up behind Russell Ingall's incident. But look how quickly Mark Skaife, he's just evaporated that 1.5 second lead. Maybe it's Seaton's car that's got the guard rubbing. Yes, it is.
Oh, yes, it was Seaton's car.
So maybe touch the wall somewhere.
Left rear wheel. He really got stuck into it in those opening laps, didn't he? I wonder if he's brushed something. Looks like the tyres rubbing. You can see that. Mark Skaife's getting a good view of the problems for the FTR car. Hopefully that won't develop into a major problem for Seaton. Here comes Skaife. He goes to the inside. He's going to attack under brakes. Up the inside of the FTR Ford, and Mark Skaife takes the lead of the V8 Supercar 1000.
It's a little bit out left rear. I'd just say it's the fuel tank. The amount of fuel we've got and the grip is okay to keep it going.
Okay, the word from the crew is don't worry too much at the moment, Glenn. We've got a full tank of fuel on. It's probably just the fact that we're carrying such a load. The bum of the car sitting down a little bit low and the tyres are rubbing. Hopefully that's the problem.
The team tell me they were going to bring him in. They've monitored his progress as he was heading up Mountain Straight there. They've just put the tyres away. They're going to keep Glenn Seaton out there.
Well, there's no damage on the rear left of the car. We got a good look at that earlier. It doesn't appear as though he slapped the wall anywhere at all, which is a little bit of a mystery. But he still runs in a very strong second. But what about the defending champion and the championship leader, Skaife, is just going from strength to strength at the moment as they flash down through the S's, heading towards the VB Dipper. Skaife has already gapped Seaton, and now the second HRT car with Jason Bright lines up for a go.
Ambient temperature of 11 degrees on the mountain, track temperature 25. Very cold conditions for the opening laps of this event. Mark Skaife, though, this is a real attack from Holden Racing Team in the opening laps. He's leading this one. He's got his teammate not far behind. A lot of speed from the Red Barons.
Further back in the field, Lowndes is starting to recover after we saw he bogged it down off the line. He dropped back as far as further than 15th. He's now made his way forward to 13th. Morris is 14th and Brad Jones is 13th. But up front, well, we know that order has changed after they crossed the timing monitor. Skaife now leads the way, and Tony Longhurst would be enjoying that. Bright is there chasing out hard after Seaton. Johnson and Radicic with the rat behind the wheel. And the Bow Wills Cat Ford is in the top 5.
Richards and Kelly round out the top 10. We've got a long way to go in the V8 Supercar 1000 from Mount Panorama. Back after this.
The juggernaut, the Holden Racing Team, asserting itself early in the V8 Supercar 1000 of Mount Panorama after 6 laps, approaching their 7th. It's a 3.3 second lead to Mark Skaife and Glenn Seaton at the moment in a sandwich between Skaife and his teammate Jason Bright. A lot of drivers clocking in the 2:13s, and one of them, of course, is the man in front. Incredible pace here early, but consistent pace, even pace.
Mark Skaife enjoys a 3.2 second lead. That was the last time around. During the commercial break, there was a little bit of jostling going on. Jason Bright overtook Glenn Seaton, but then Seaton took him back at the end of Mountain Straight, heading into XR8 corner, and John Bow made a move on Paul Radicic. That's why the Cat Ford is up one position better. Bow has made an amazing start.
A 2:12.8 for Skaife. He's really pushing hard. 4.8 seconds. Look at that. That's the gap. Skaife's got the hammer down big time. A 2:12.82. Everyone behind him's running in the 14s. And you can see this queue of cars maybe forming behind the FTR Falcon. A 2:14.4 for Seaton. A 2:14.5 for Bright. So a massive gap in lap speed.
Vito behind is doing 14, mate, so, you know, that's dropped the pace a bit.
Well, I can tell you that Mark Skaife's quickest lap has just been eclipsed by the Aussie male Falcon. Brad Jones has come from 22nd to 13th position with a 2:12.82. Unbelievable lap, and he'll be at the back of that queue.
Jason Bright's found his way past Glenn Seaton. John Bow sitting in behind now too.
Confusing what happened to Seaton, because he had that smoke coming from the back. He slowed right up, and now he's picked the pace up again. So
well, you could hear
Robbie's as good as mine.
You could hear Robbie Starr, Mark Skaife's chief mechanic, telling him, look, everyone behind you is running in 2:14s, just back it off a bit.
Not surprised by that race pace of Brad Jones. I had a word to Kim Jones, his brother, earlier this morning in the Aussie Male pit. He said both he and John Cleland were exceptionally pleased with his car. It was very quick in the morning warm-up, both in wet and dry conditions.
Well, Greg, he was the fastest in morning warm-up, and they've had their fair share of hiccups this year, but they've got an enormously experienced team. Graham Jenkins, who's the chief engineer, and of course Kim Jones, Brad's brother, runs the team. Basically, almost the entire Oryx Audi team that worked in the Super Touring years have come over over to run them in the V8s.
Well, here's the pressure of trying to get 600 horsepower to the ground. This is Dougal McDougall's drive shaft, snapped clean. Not a problem we see too often these days, but there you have it. He did believe he got off to a good start, and that's what might have been the problem. As for Cameron McConville, it was determined that there was a fire in his engine bay. This problem doesn't seem to be there now. The mist doesn't even seem to be there, but they've just sent out a warning to him. Be wary of any smoke that you see or smell.
It's always one of the biggest problems when you're trying to launch a 600 horsepower, 1,500 kilo V8 Supercar from a standing start. You've got 120 litres of fuel on board. It's a massive strain on the drivetrain. Look at this, John Bower has a look down the inside. Not quite. Glenn Seaton not giving him room, but Bower is on the attack. A lot of speed from the Caterpillar Ford. At 2.14 dead, at 2.12.6 for Mark Scaife. He's pulling it down lap after lap.
Murphy on the inside. Greg Murphy picks off another one. The Kiwi has made a flying start as well. So he's been just moving up one at a time, and so too is Ingle.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Ambrose. Ambrose is dropping back. He's in 12th position now, and Paul Wheel is up to 10th. So there must be some problem with Ambrose.
HRT is showing tremendous speed in the opening lap. Scaife's done a 2.12.6. Teammate Jason Bright's done a 2.12.8, so the two red cars flying at the front of the pack. Ingle, though, you can see the Castrol Commodore there starting to fight back from its terrible start. There's a lot of speed on board that car. And we're also hearing from the Holden Racing team that Mark Scaife is reporting back he may have a gearbox problem in car 1.
11th to 6th is Greg Murphy. He's on the surge, he's on the move, and so too is Ingle. These two cars here, watch them. Car 11, car 15, they're very experienced. They're both former winners here on the mountain, and they know how to attack this race. And look how hard Murphy's pushing it, really giving that Kmart Commodore something across the top. Tander's in there, and young Paul Wheel has made a very successful start.
Great start.
Well, I'll tell you what, you talk about the speed of the Aussie male Ford. Brad Jones has just set a new lap record, a 2.12.29. Jones is running back in 14th in the pack, but boy, is that car quick. New lap record from Mount Panorama, so as people expected, the race pace coming down, and Scaife is driving them into submission, a 2.12.68.
That's what it sounds like to take the chase at 290 kilometres an hour. On board, the number one, the championship winning car of Mark Scaife. Scaife still enjoys a 5.5 second lead, and that's been reduced now to 4.7 seconds.
I wonder what the problem with the gearbox is. I was trying to listen there on the change-ups if there was... listen when he gets the change down at the end.
Certainly seems to be working okay at the moment. He's backed it off a little bit at 2.13.1 for the race leader. Look at this between the Kmart car and the Shell Ford. Chopper shot. Look at Russell Ingle continuing his march. He's up behind Radicic now. This is looking out of the back of Greg Murphy's car, who's got past the Shell Ford. Ingle goes as well, so Radicic loses another spot.
There is some pace on board those two cars. Greg Murphy, Russell Ingle. It's almost like they're working like teammates. They're working in tandem as they climb the mountain again.
Yeah, well, the Russ would have the hump, wouldn't he? If he mucked his start up, then he would have the needle, wouldn't he?
Well, Greg Murphy, Todd Kelly, let's not forget they finished third at the Queensland 500. Greg is currently 6th in the championship. Todd Kelly is 7th. They're enormously competitive and compatible together. Such great teammates in their own cars, great teammates together.
You look at the pace. The top 12 guys are all lapping in the 2.12s. That's quite incredible.
Yeah, they've really picked it up. It'll be interesting to see if that pace can be maintained all the day. You only need one or two cars or teams deciding to go out and run at that pace. Everyone's got to go with them, so it could be a real car breaker.
Ambrose, our pole sitter, has dropped to 13th, and outside that top 10 there's some interesting names.
We need a bit more water temperature. Marco tried to remain in slipstream. We need a bit of more water temperature.
That's Alex Zoekling, the chief engineer for Marco Motorsport. He's complaining about the water temperature perhaps being a little bit too low or high. Very cold conditions here in these opening laps. Lap 10 of 161. Look at John Bowe continuing his attack on Glenn Seaton. Scaife and Bright, the two Holden Racing Team Commodores, leading this one. Seaton and Bowe fighting over third. And it's a great battle between Murphy, Ingle and Radicic. There is our pole position man, and look who's behind him. The Aussie male Falcon.
great for the Jones lot, isn't it? Because they've had such a lousy year, such a baptism of fire.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing how John Clellan goes. The very canny Scott Tander on the inside of Ellery. And Wheel is in there as well. It's very tight. Almost contact between the two Queensland Ford drivers. Wheel is currently running in the top 10. And that's an outstanding effort for that privateer team. He's right behind Stephen Ellery as they push their way up. But there's another Ford doing good things. That's the Aussie male Falcon of Brad Jones. Grant is with his teammate.
Yeah, John Clellan, the pace of this Falcon is just unbelievable.
Yeah, I'm amazed. He's done a great job out there. We worked really hard on it over the last couple of days, and he's going faster now than we did in qualifying, and he's got a gutload of fuel on board. So I don't know what he had for his breakfast. It'd be amazing.
Whatever it was, it worked. How fast can we go?
Well, obviously on that pace, a lot quicker, because as soon as the fuel load comes down a bit, there's a little bit more rubber on the track. I think we'll go faster, but whatever he was drinking this morning, I think I'll have to have some of it.
That's going to fire you up to get in the car, surely, with this sort of pace.
Yeah, that's the worry. As long as he brings it back to me the same way, that'll be fine.
Thanks, John.
Thanks.
And they got the front to say, I speak funny.
One of the true characters of motorsport, certainly becoming a big character in Australian motorsport, John Clellan, the Scotsman, but he just absolutely adores Mount Panorama. He said he'd buy a house here if he could. He just adores the place. And look who's in that pack too.
Look, I reckon it looks like the Ambrose car's got some kind of handling problem with it, because if Brad Jones was catching it really quick down the back there.
The temperature here at the track at the moment, 17 on the circuit. The ambient is only 12. So John Clellan took great delight in winding us up about our weather this morning. I've just ducked in and had a word to Ross Stone and the boys at the Pertec racing team about what's happening to Marcus Ambrose. He's dropped back a little bit, our pole sitter. They tell me very simply, he radioed in before. He said, sorry guys, I made a little bit of a mistake, dropped a couple of positions. They said, no worries Marcus, long day, just take your time and keep stroking it along.
It is a long day. There's still 150 laps to go here at Mount Panorama, and you're watching Brad Jones work on Marcus Ambrose. He's been the biggest mover in the pack. Here goes Brad Jones to add another one to his list. Great move on the inside into Murray's. So Jones adds another one. He started in 22nd position, and that now moves him up into 12th. He's taken 10 positions in the opening 12 laps.
Look, he's had a relatively quiet start to the race. Craig Lowndes taking it easy. He's moved up to 11th place now. He's just on the back of the top 10. So the Gibson Motorsport car running strong in the opening laps. As to this car, car 11, the Castrol Commodore. Could that be in contention for a race win later on today?
Russell Ingall makes another move, and we're going to move to a break. But first of all, let's take a look at the race score. Scaife leads the way from his teammate Jason Bright, and they are looking very strong. But what about the Cat Ford? Bow has made an amazing start from Greg Murphy, and Glenn Seaton, after starting from the front row, has slipped back to 5th. And Russell Ingall continues to push hard forward. Radicic followed by Tander in the top 8.
What a quality field. We dare you to try and pick a winner out of that lot this early in the race. Back with more from Mount Panorama in just a sec.
5.2-second lead to Mark Scaife, but there are so many stories further back in the pack of the V8 Supercar 1000. This is one of them. Craig Lowndes has been on the attack, moving up to 10th position after a tardy start. There's certainly...
approximately 10 seconds behind the leader.
There you go. The top 12 cars are all running in the 212s consistently, although a few of them locked 213s on that last lap, but that's mainly because of the fierce competition we've seen back in the pack. In fact, when Lowndes passed Tander on the previous lap, Garth did everything he could to hang on.
I just can't believe it's like a 5-lap sprint race, isn't it? I mean, it's so hard.
Race laps in the low 212s. That's incredible. This is the footbox of Craig Lowndes' car, the new Gibson Motorsport Ford, and you can see there's a little furry marsupial along for the ride.
And again, if you've just joined the coverage, this is just one of in excess of 40 in-car and on-car cameras amongst 10 different cars this year's V8 1000.
Fantastic seeing the driver's feet at work.
Yeah,
it's so true, that, isn't it, Baz, when they say you don't steer a race car so much with the steering wheel as you do with the pedals.
Incredible. It's people who don't know, on the left-hand side, that's a footrest, because the G-forces and pushing around, it throws you around so much. If you didn't have that footrest on the left-hand side, you tend to put your foot on the clutch or something.
And look at that.
And
flat changing, just doesn't lift off the throttle at all. He just bangs the clutch to take a little bit of torque mode off the cogs and bangs it through next gear. That's the way those gearboxes work the best. Oh, we've got a car in trouble here.
Who's
Thomas Mazira did several years ago. That's down at the Auto Vitel Chase.
That's going to be a safety car.
It would have to be a safety car. Here's a Shell Helix replay.
Lock up, major lock up there.
That looks like a blown tyre, blown front tyre.
Yeah, you're right,
On the right side, because look at it flapping around.
Yeah.
You're right.
James Brock in all sorts of trouble, but isn't it great? They've got that massive sand trap there to arrest cars going at enormous speed.
The Shell Helix replay telling the story, and this is the story on the racetrack, and that's quite a story there. Young Paul Wheel in front of Craig Lowndes, and he's currently running in 9th position after starting 15th. There's a bunch of Fords there. We see the Romano car. Is someone in trouble here? Whoa, this is the Donaher entry. Donaher and Leighton Cranbrook.
Can he get out?
And that's Mick's second spin for the day because he went off in the V8 Brutes race as well. Ellery on the inside. Seaton's gone off. Now rejoins at XR8 corner. That's not the place to do it, Glenn. And through comes the second FTR car. Jim Richards on board.
I wonder if he's got some sort of handling dilemma here. That car just went straight on.
This is what was confusing earlier on because he was up there.
I think he got a touch there from Marcus Ambrose. There was a little bit of contact there going through Ford cutting. Copped a knock in the back, and I think we'll see that car coming in very shortly. That's a real mystery.
Yeah, that's why the thing was fast, slow, fast. You know, something wrong there somewhere.
That was terrible. He almost went straight on there at XR8 corner. Paul Morris now sneaking up behind him. He's losing a ton of time. Seaton's lap times have been a little bit down. And you can see the other competitors coming up and pouncing on him lap by lap. So there's problems here for the brand new number 5 Ford. It's been a very quick car throughout the week. Problems emerging in the race, as we've seen so many times for Glenn Seaton and Mount Panorama.
I was going to say, he never gets any luckier, does he?
Well, it's the bogey track, no doubt about it. Let's have a look at this replay. Look at this, it just doesn't seem to... He's way offline there anyway.
Yeah, but it just doesn't seem... It seems very, very weird that he almost went straight on. Do you understand what I mean? It wasn't like it was understeering or anything. It just sort of didn't seem like he wanted to turn for some reason.
We ride with Garth Tander. This is the view, and look at the cars up ahead. This has been an enthralling battle for the first 15 laps. He's got Jim Richards immediately ahead in the number 6 FTR AUXR8 down into Murray's. Wheel, Lowndes, Richards, Tander.
Lowndes all over the back of the K&J thermal car, so Lowndes continuing his march up through the top 10. A bit of a squeeze here between Paul Morris. Russell Engel brings it down again. Can you believe that? A 2:11.48.
Wow.
Yeah, but look how many people in the 211s. It's Ellery.
Five cars are in the 11s. And on the inside comes Bernard. Ritter's done it once tomorrow. Now Bernard tries to squeeze through. This is a good comeback from Greg Ritter in the number 18 Shell Helix Ford. Ritter now sits in 15th position. He's made up about 4 over the last 6 or 7 laps. So he continues to grow in confidence at the mountain.
To believe the amount of speed on board Russell Engel's car. The previous lap record was a 2:12.33 set by Larry Perkins back in 1997. These cars are just about throwing that out the window. Look at this, problems here for, it's the second Valvoline car. Early stop. Looks like they're just putting on a new right rear tyre. Taking the opportunity to tip some fuel into the car as well.
It's the youngest driver combination we have here at Mount Panorama this year. 19-year-old Paul Dumbrell, the university student who has been here at the mountain several times, and Leanne Ferrier making her debut. Problems with the car there. Now they're off and away.
Paul does look really young, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Well, that's incredible. 2:11.48 for Russell Engel. Haven't they got some speed available in that car? That'll be encouraging for later in the race. Keep in mind all these cars and drivers at the moment are just checking each other out. It's a real game of chess for about the first 2/3 of the race. Then you've really got to be in a strong situation. Your brakes have got to be right. Your tyres, your car speed's got to be fantastic in case you've got to fight right down to the wire in the last hour or half hour of the race. Shell Helix replay. Here comes Riddick Murphy, is it?
Yeah, on the inside of Jason Bright. Overtake going up into XR8 corner. So Murphy and Engel and Bow have been incredibly strong. Mark Scape is enjoying almost a 4-second lead. But Bow, Murphy, Engel, they have been incredibly strong. So Bright's lost 2 positions over the last 3 laps. And Morris continuing to power on, but he's a little further back.
Seaton must be coming into the pits. He'd have to, because he's dropped way, way down in this now.
Scape hasn't backed it off that far, though. Another 2:12.9 for the race leader. 2.5 seconds the gap between Scape and Bow. And Bow's really got the hammer down at 2:11.65. 4. He's only 2/10 away from that new lap record by Ingles, so maybe this is going to come true. The high 11s, 2:12s that people were talking about as the race pace. This is going to be a real car breaker.
At one stage, Mark Scaife was enjoying in excess of 5 seconds up front. Now watch in the background, there is the Cat Ford. So through it comes, and there's Murphy. 3 different teams in the top 3 positions. Then Bright, and Ingle is lining up for a shot at the number 2 HRT car.
Critical thing here is with the compulsory or minimum number of fuel stops being 3 by lap 120. You wonder if some of these teams are going to try and sneak it through on 3 and maybe a splash and dash toward the end. I know that we've heard that.
Smoke coming there.
Precious rubbing Baz is pushing that car pretty hard. I heard a message through from Honda Racing team that they've told Mark Scaife, don't worry about John Bower, just concentrate on your fuel consumption. So I wonder if there's going to be some strategy played here. Everyone trying to stretch that fuel, try and get through on three stops and maybe a shorter fuel stop toward the end.
Whilst this is the scrap up front in the top 5, we ride with Russell Ingall. Our front row starter, Glenn Seaton, and early race leader has dropped to 14th position. Let's ride with Ingall. The rundown Conrod, courtesy of Monroe.
Shots there from aboard the Castrol Commodore, carrying a great amount of speed. This car is looking very, very threatening this early in the race. If you can belt out times like that, the relatively full tank of fuel just shows this car is probably going to be in great trim no matter how much fuel load they're carrying. Very sympathetic depending on the tyre condition.
We're around about halfway through the first stint. So the story's starting to pan out, and the gap has come right back down to 1.2 seconds now between Scaife and Bow. Murphy there in 3rd, that's 4th Bright, 5th is Russell Ingall. And when you consider how far back Russell Ingall was after almost stalling the vehicle on the line, as he looks on the inside of Bright, powerful move here, well done, Ingall through.
The Havilland Ford comes into the pitch. We saw that making good progress early. Stone Brothers crew go to work.
Mark, I'm just wondering if these guys are going to try and buck the trend that you were talking about before, this frenetic race pace so early. Most of the teams are going to try and stretch it to about lap 32 before doing their first pit stop. But if you do the calculations at this pace, most expect it not to be a 4-stop race, but they'll need a splash at some point for a 5th stop towards the end.
Well, certainly that's the case with the Ford engines. They're notoriously...
Put a wheel on it, get it out of here.
They're notoriously thirsty on fuel. And it's definitely going to be, talk to any of the Ford teams, it's going to have to be at least 5 stops to get them through. And this is going to create a leapfrog situation for the Havilland Ford. We saw them do this in 1998 when Jason Bright and Stephen Richards won an early stop for the Stone Brothers car.
That's very slow stop there.
That's a really slow stop. I was just...
Pit lane speed. Dave, we can't see anything with the car. We've changed the tyre. And all the tyres, we filled it up with fuel. Away you go.
Yeah. I was going to say, when was it? It was 98 when they came in, and was it long?
No, 98.
98.
Yeah, 98. And the Stone Brothers picked it really good, didn't they?
Yep.
So, but obviously we heard there's some problem with one of the wheels, and they can't see what it is.
Look at this, 2:11.17. New lap record. They're just continuing to chop it down lap by lap. John Bow in the Caterpillar car. This is probably the fastest XR8 Ford on the circuit at the moment. Now he's got the race winner, the race leader, I should say, well within his sights.
We got a really good peak hole view of how strong this Caterpillar Ford is at the Queensland 500 when John Bow, the 2 times Bathurst winner, and the current Konica Series winner, Simon Wills, combined there at Queensland Raceway. Now it's on for real as he climbs Mountain Straight. Look at this. This is obviously an incident from before. This is what it was. Wow.
Paul Morris has just waked up there.
And that's why David Bernard came in. That was a replay and a change for the lead. Bow takes the lead for the first time in the V8 Supercar 1000 as they climb the mountain again. JB leads the way.
He's got the foot down at 2:11.17. I wonder if we're going to get down to a new race record in the 2:10s. Can you believe it? People were threatening that the race pace was going to drop dramatically. in the opening laps. This is incredible stuff.
I bet poor old Paul Morris won't be too happy about that.
That's obviously why Bernard came in and the crew checked the car. They couldn't see anything wrong with it.
12 guys lapping at 111.
Yeah.
111 is incredible.
Scoper's backed it off. We've heard that from the crew. Fuel economy a major consideration here for the Holden Racing team. He's still sitting in there behind race leader John Bowe in the Caterpillar Falcon. So a great battle between Ford and Holden on the mountain here, the traditional rivals. So many great battles.
When you think about it, Mark, he could sit in behind Bowie and get a bit of a tow and sort of back her off a bit. And it's amazing the amount of fuel you save just by backing the throttle off sort of a 1/16 of an inch from flat out.
We witnessed some incredible driving earlier on when it was just a freight train of 10 or a dozen cars just nose to tail, and it was excellent driving, no major contact. It was very, very clean. Lap 19 of 161. We are edging closer and closer to that first scheduled stop, and if you can stay out of trouble, meet that pit strategy, the day is looking good. Here's the Shell Helix replay of John Bowe in the Cat Ford overtaking Mark Scaife in the HRT Commodore. Nice move, and it's a great overtaking point up into XR8 corner.
It's great looking at it in slow motion. You can see the bump control of the car as it comes over those bumps under brakes. Look at the Shell Helix replay. Just a bit of a disagreement or misunderstanding there. Paul Morris at the dirty end of the stick there. Just managed to keep it off the concrete walls. That's put him out here out. Haviland Ford. He's back in pit lane.
Just spoken to Big Kev Racing crew chief Greg Worcester. He tells me that he's been down to the officials just to see if there's going to be anything that comes of that incident involving David Bernard and Paul Morris at the early stages of this race. At this stage, nothing will come of it. A little bit further down pit lane, Greg Ritter has come in. Cameron McLean standing by to get inside the 18 car. Change of wheels, fresh rubber and some fuel going in. This should be a pretty slick stop, and a different trend, as I said before, to what many expected. Most expected them to go to about lap 32 before their first stop.
Major problems up there for the Ricciardello Nash. Cameron McLean takes over the wheel from Greg Ritter in the number 18 Ford. Ritter did a good job to recover after getting caught up behind Russell Engel off the line. So they've put themselves in a reasonable position. And when Ritter pitted, they were in 15th position. Now, apparently the Nash and Ricciardello car has been black flagged. The Haviland Ford, David Bernard still in the pits. About to exit, but they've lost a lot of time. We are well underway with the 2001 V8 Supercar 1000. And you can hear some problems there for that Haviland Ford. As we roll through the Shell Helix race score, Seaton is all the way back in 14th with some work to do.